We continue in the 12th part of this book. This book is written by our beloved brother, Stephen Alemon. The title of the book being The New Testament Church. We are in chapter 5 or chapter 6. We continue. Leadership is one important area of men's cohabitation on earth. Whatever you have two or more people, leadership will either directly or indirectly emerge. It is God who ordained established leadership, only that people do not like his own leadership style. There is a verse in the Bible that says, like mother, like daughter, in quote, Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44. This can also be said about leadership, like follow with sheep. Leadership determines a lot in the affair of men generally, and the same is true with Christianity. Where there is no leadership, everyone will grow wild and do whatever they like. George chapter 21 verse 25 put this well. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Where there is weak or bad leadership, things will not run as it is supposed to run. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 16 to 17 put it this way. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child and your princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, when your king is the son of noble and your princes feast at the proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. Weak leadership will produce weak leadership will produce weak linked. Wicked leadership will produce wicked followership. The same way, biblical leadership will produce biblical people in the assembly of the people of God. God ordained leadership in the assembly of his people. This comes in two ways: by gift in God, Romans chapter 12 verse 8, by qualification in God, eldership and diaconship. 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1 to 7, Titus chapter 1 verse 5 to 9, 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8. There are two Greek words used for the elder, presbyteros and episkopos. Presbyteros, this is translated elder. It means older in age or senior in age. This describes the person of the elder. Episkopos, this is translated bishop, overseer, superintendent, superintendent, and a guardian. It is a compound word from epi, over, and scopus, to look or watch. When brought together, it means to watch over or overseer. The same person who is referred to as elder is the same as bishop. We can conveniently say that he is an older person, especially in the faith, who is watching over the flock of God. They are men and always in plural form over a local assembly according to God's pattern. But the denominational system separates the two and place bishop over the above elder. Important note. In the New Testament, there is no one-man leadership. Leadership, either by gift or qualification, must be in plural. The reason is simply because of the vulnerability of man. If one err or fail, other will serve as a check or as a restoration agent without compromising the church. Plural eldership is mentioned in the following Bible passage: Acts chapter 14 verse 23, Acts chapter 20 verse 17, 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 17, Titus chapter 1 verse 5, 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 5. All through the New Testament, there is nowhere a singular and cut one man leadership is reference or could be inferred. It is an importation from the Old Testament and world system. Having biblically qualified plural eldership overseeing a local assembly is one major mark that assembly has grown in a high level of maturity. When a local assembly has not been able to produce biblically qualified elder, the plural leadership I give will be working to oversee such assembly. What the New Testament leadership? What the New Testament leadership? When number E, it is seventh thought. It is seventh thought. Luke chapter 22, verse 24 to 27. Now there was also a dispute amongst them as to which of them should be considered the greatest. And he said to them, the kings of the Gentile exercise lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactor. But not so amongst you. On the contrary, he who is greatest amongst you, let him be as the younger, and he who govern as he who serve. The word servant is formed from the word serve, and cut to serve. Interestingly enough, all the three Greek words in cut diakonia, liturgia, and douleo, translated as ministry, also means exactly the same things: serve, to serve, service. We are servant in twofold: servant of Christ, who is our master and sender; servant of one another, because that is what we are called to do with whatever gift we have. Leadership gift and qualification inclusive. Point number 2, leadership is being ready to wash the feet of the saints. John chapter 13, verse 1 to 15. Being ready to do the most old work amongst the people of God. Imagine Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. Point number 3, leadership is a position of humility. Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 to 8. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Point number 4, leadership is feeding the flock of God. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1 to 4. John chapter 21, verse 15 to 17. Point number 5, leadership is rising up the feeble knees and restoring those wandering away. Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 12. Isaiah chapter 35, verse 3. Point number 6, leadership is submission to the brethren. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. The plural leadership in the New Testament church submit to one another and also to the brethren. They are accountable to the brethren. Point number 7, leadership is setting an example for others. It is not just telling people what to do, but doing it for them to see. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. Point number 8, leadership is a big responsibility and burden. What the New Testament leadership is not. What the New Testament leadership is not. Point number 1, it is not papacy. It is not papacy. Matthew chapter 23, verse 1 to 11. Then Jesus spoke to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribe and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Therefore, whatever they tell you to observe, that observe and do, but do not do according to their work. For they say and do not do. For they bind heavy burden, hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulder, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their work they do to be seen by men. They make their phylactery broad and enlarge the border of their garment. They love the best. They love the best place at feast, the best seat in the synagogue, written in the marketplaces, and to be called by men Rabbi, Rabbi. But you do not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Christ, and you are all brethren. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your father, he who is in heaven. And do not be called teacher, for one is your teacher, the Christ, the Christ. But he who is greatest amongst you shall be your servant. Also, 3 John chapter 1, verse 9 to 10. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loved to have the preeminence amongst them, does not receive us. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deed, which he does practice against us with malicious word, and not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren, and forbid those who wish to patent them out of the church. New Testament leadership is not above the brethren, but amongst and under the brethren. They are amount to function as part of the body of Christ for the growth of the body in their local assembly, and they are earned to serve and bear the burden of the brethren. Bible model, Christ is central. We see it in image. Point number 2, it is not rulership, but leading by example. In Luke chapter 22, verse 24 to 27. Now there was also a dispute amongst them as to which of them should be considered the greatest. And he said to them, the king of the Gentile exercised lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactor.